I guess. So thanks a lot for your time. We really appreciate you. Um, this is now, I think, the 24th 24th focus group or public consultation session that we've held as part of this project. Um, for those who are joining us for the first time, this is the Rivers 2050 Vision Project. And it's a project that has brought together citizens, especially young people, over the past 15 or 16 plus months to develop a long-term development blueprint, a long-term vision for River State. And I mean, the question is, why are we why are we doing this? The reason we're doing this is because the last time River State had any kind of long-term blueprint or vision was 50 years ago. The last time was in 1975, when our first military governor, Commander Alfred Spieth, who at the time was in his 20s, led the design of the River State Development Plan, 1975 to 1980. This was part of, I think, Nigeria's third national plan at the time. And yeah, and it's within the era where we had the vision for things like Points Block and Reason Palm and Parboard Breweries and the West Africa Glass Company, to mention a few. But I mean, the state has gone into a cycle of political challenges and political disruptions ever since then. And we think that there's a need for us as a generation to bring everything back and ensure that we bring the state back to the drawing board and design the next 25 years and ensure that citizens' voices, much more than anything else, is central. So that's what we've been doing for the past 15 months. It's been a lot of sacrifice, various team members, the various respective committees, the speakers, including the ones we have today, who have given us their time, their expertise, their insights to ensure that the vision book is rich with practical um, guidance such that anybody who picks this up as a governor or whatever can say, like, this is what I have to do, for each of the sectors to be able to ensure that we build the state and move the state forward. Um, the plan is to ensure that the vision book is launched in November. Like I said, we've been doing this since last February. Um, we are currently wrapping up the process of public consultations. The project was designed in 5 phases. So we had a task force that was built. We've done a statewide survey that's now reached 4,500 plus Rivers people. And now just concluding the focus group conversations and conversations with like experts from around the world. Now we've engaged plus our three experts today. We had 81 experts that we brought together from across several fields: academia, private sector, public sector, international developments, to discuss the various things that state can do. For the next few months, we'll be collating all of the insights we've gathered from our experts, from the survey, from uh, task force research, putting together the vision book, which already is being written, has been in process of being written since last year, with the book committee doing an amazing work in putting that together. So we're coming to the end and the closing phases of this project, and we hope that for the next few months we can sustain the momentum to be able to ensure that we get the attention that we need for the launch. Everything is on the website. We've ensured that we updated the website as often as possible with all the reports of sessions and videos and all the conversations basically we've held so far. So you can check it out for those who are either watching the recording or who are joining us for the first time. Rivers2050.org. You can find that information there. And then all of the sessions, as just like today's session that we record as well, we have them on YouTube for posterity to refer to. Okay, so three big questions that we hope we can answer today on the future of transportation in River State. The first question, I think, is a quite obvious question. An organization called Phillips Consulting conducted a survey so they release every year or every 2 years a report of like subnational development. And one of the things that they assess is like transportation. And one of the biggest, so far from the report, one of the biggest points for River State is the lack of modern transportation. Our transport system is very, especially our road transport system, is very informal, disorganized. Um, without as much checks and balance, and it's not modern. So the question is, how do we move from where we are here now to where we want to be, where our system is more organized, it's more fit for purpose, ensuring that also our roads are used more maximally and efficiently. So that's one of the questions that we hope that our panel will be able to help us discuss. And most times when we discuss transport, we think of roads a lot because, like, road, road as land transportation. But there's waterway transportation and there's airways. And I'm happy we have folks from the aviation sector here, because I mean, even though aviation is under the purview of the federal government, what ways can the state government sort of like leverage our airways to foster tourism, right? Waterways, for example, I mean, water maritime is also around the federal government's jurisdiction. But as a state, how can we leverage our waterways to ensure that we can also drive things like tourism and bring in a lot more investment into the state? We tried to get someone who's currently piloting waterway conversations and waterway transport as a form of transportation within the states. His schedule didn't allow for him to join today's conversation, but it will be interesting to hear what the panelists think. Our panel has vast experience in transportation across the world, so it will be good to hear their insights on what we can do as well within the waterways and the aviation sector. And then I think the final question is, how can we build transport infrastructure beyond the state capital? There's so much emphasis. I mean, the last administration invested so much money in building, like, I think like 11 or 12 bridges within a within a small mile radius. And the biggest issue, I mean, for River State always has been that there's been so much attention on Port Harcourt, Obiapo, LMA, just the urban spread of the states. So how do we ensure that our transport infrastructure also extends all the way, whether it's airways or road transports, extends all the way to our rural communities? And what are the roads leading to? I think I listened to someone speak a couple of years ago, and he was like, we build roads in Nigeria a lot of time, but like, what's the road leading to? Like, are there things that are taking people somewhere, like tourist attractions or companies or industries? So like, we should build roads, but also should ensure that the various local government areas also have some bit of competitive advantage, which is what we spoke to the radio show that we were playing earlier. One of the things we discussed was the need for local government areas to have their respective comparative advantage, and the need for local government to be able to ensure that there's something that brings people to the various satellite towns as well, much more than the emphasis on the central capital city, Port Harcourt, and the central area, Obiakpor, as well. So these are a few questions that we hope that our panel would be able to respond, and they are very well versed and and ready to be able to respond to these questions. First on the panel, we have Mr. Suanu Kiin-Kabari. Suanu, I mean, for those who are on my WhatsApp, I was saying Suanu is the first ever friend I made when I got into secondary school, and we've been friends since we were in JS1. Suanu is a transportation engineering professional. He's currently based in Canada, and he's got experience in delivering major transportation, mobility, and infrastructure projects across Canada and Africa. As a transportation engineering coordinator with the City of Toronto, he contributes to the planning and oversight of complex initiatives that support safe, efficient, and sustainable urban mobility. Drawing on experience in both the public and private sector, he has worked on traffic operations, transport planning, transit systems, and infrastructure development projects, ranging from rail transit and multimodal networks to large-scale urban development projects. He holds a master's degree in transport engineering and planning, and is an engineer in training, working towards professional engineer designation in Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much, Mr. Kiin-Kabari, for joining us. We also have Chidinma Okeke as well here. Chidinma is a travel consultant, aviation professional, content creator, and social impact advocate with a strong passion for the travel industry and people-centered development. She's the founder of Travel with Joy Girl, a travel brand that helps individuals and groups plan seamless travel experiences through vacation planning, visa assistance, trip coordination, travel consultation, and curated travel services. She previously worked for over 5 years as a flight announcer and information officer at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, where she gained valuable hands-on experience in aviation operations, passenger communication, and airport information management. She also serves as executive director of Girl Boy Future Builders Initiative, a non-profit organization committed to youth empowerment and community impact. Academically, she recently concluded her master's degree with a distinction from the University of Port Harcourt. Thank you so much, Chidinma, for joining us. I was going to ask Chidinma, by the way, why we find it hard to hear airport announcers, but I think over the years, this has actually improved because whenever we are at the airport, we seem to be struggling to hear what they say. But thank you so much, Chidinma, for bringing your insights to the conversation. And finally, we have Mr. David Calvary Ezennia. He's the managing director of Doxalight Global Resources. He's got over 70 years of experience in business, entrepreneurship, and aviation. As a former assistant cargo manager with an international airline at the Port Harcourt International Airport. He's been active in the aviation sector since the year 2007. That's the year Suanu and I left secondary school, specializing in cargo operations, airline management, and business development. He's also been an advocate for aviation growth, transportation development, and private sector investment in Nigeria, and especially the River State as well. Mr. Ezennia is very passionate about ensuring that the state has a lot of private sector investment as well. He's a founder and strategic leader focused on innovation, logistics, and sustainable business growth. So we have quite a diverse panel. Really happy that they gave us their time. And interestingly, our moderator also works in the transport industry as well, Mr. Senator Okoma. I think is the best person to be able to take this conversation forward. Thank you so much to our guests for giving us your time. Looking forward to a wonderful conversation. Over to you, Senator. You're muted.
All right. Thank you very much, Eben, and thank you to all the speakers for joining us today. We appreciate you taking our time to be here. So we'll just get straight into it, and we'll try to be quick so we don't run out of time. So each panelist, this question is for all of the panelists, and I'll just give you 5 minutes to answer. So River State has the potential to be a major logistics hub in Nigeria's south, with 2 airports and 2 ports. Why has this potential not been realized? And what are the most critical failures? And where are the opportunities that are being missed? Let's start with Ms. Chidinma.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, I think I just answer Mr. Eben, who said, why don't we hear flight announcers when they
Yes, it's a very important question.
We don't know why you guys don't hear us. Can't you hear me now? This is exactly how I speak when I have to make.
We can hear you clearly, so clearly now. I wish that we would hear this clear at the airport.
Now you hear me very well. So I don't know, maybe it's their mic. But every time I get to say, oh, I was a flight announcer, somebody would say, we were not able to hear you. Like, it's a very common thing. So I'm always defending myself. So yes. So you were asking about the most critical failures like we must have experienced like in River State and all of that. And I think one of them is like not having enough international routes. So at the moment, River State we only have about 2 international flights that I would say they're active. That's Lufthansa and Qatar Airways. We have another one that goes to Malabo, and we have another one that does somewhere in Equatorial Guinea thereabout. So it limits tourism. For example, if somebody wants to travel, as somebody who is very much into like doing ticketing and all of that now, somebody wants to travel to like say, where do I use for example? You want to travel to France or you want to go to the UK. It's harder for you to travel from here because number one, first of all, there's no direct flights, and so it's not everybody that wants to stay for like 10 hours in the flight and all of that. So I want a direct flight to the UK. Chidinma, get me a flight. I don't have that option in Port Harcourt. So it means that that person has to go to Abuja or the person has to go to Lagos. So that money that could have come into the states, because when you book flights, there's tax on it, there's all of that, that government seems to like benefit and everything. We lose out on it. So that's one of the major things I think that we haven't done so well as a state. And I believe we can do so much better. Comparing it to Abuja and Lagos, Abuja has about 10 international flights compared to us that just trying to make do with 2. And we can't even go as far as Lagos that has a lot. Lagos can do more than international and locally, they can do more than 100 flights a day. So how do we compare to what we have in Port Harcourt? So there's so much money we are leaving on the table that could have been put back into Rivers State to help Rivers State become better. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think so. Whose fault is it now that we don't have enough international flights here?
I don't want to, it's easy to say the government because it's just something that has not been prioritized. Like if it was prioritized, I believe it's something we can do because just imagine people who even come from Owerri because we are the ones covering like south. When you say south, even the east, there's no other international airports. There are 5 international airports in Nigeria. And sorry, and we are like the 3rd busiest. So we have like potential to actually cover the east and all of that. If we have more routes, we will have more people to like cater to, and that's more money coming into the state. So whose fault is it? I can actually say the government because I believe that these airlines are there. If I go and meet British Airways now and say, I want you to come and work in Port Harcourt Airport, what will it take? Who will refuse money as long as you're seeing that people are coming and all of that? So yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Suanu, let's go to you. Let's hear you. Okay, still with us.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you, Asenete. Also, Ebenezer, it's not just, it seems like it's not just the, what's it called? We can't hear them, but even the pilots, I think in aviation now, all of them, they've come together now. Even pilots, you can't hear them again because it's now, thank you for, the captain will be like, thank you for flying with Lufthansa, blah, 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 blah. It's like they are using bedroom voice. Anyways, but that's by the way. So thanks for having me. So for the question, okay, so in my own opinion, our biggest failure from a transportation perspective is poor multimodal transportation integration. And what do I mean by that? Let's say you're a visitor to River State, you land in the airport at Omagua. There's no way to get train from Omagua to wherever you're going to. But let's say train is too much. What about the bus service that would pick you up from there and take you to another, let's say, transit hub where you can connect to other services? So that's what I mean by transportation integration. Like you try to build the transport systems in such a way that you can easily move from one mode of transport to the other. And that's one thing I would say Lagos is actually really doing well currently, because if I remember with the whole red line and blue line and the connects with the Oshodi transport interchange at Oshede as well. So like that's for me, that's the biggest failure, the poor multimodal transport integration. But aside that, the other things like inadequate road infrastructure, I mean, underutilization of our ports. Then I think the last one for me would be the neglect of our, water transport systems. But so from a transportation perspective, I would say the greatest challenge is not just the absence of transportation assets, but the lack of integration, coordination, and efficient management. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. David.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. In respect to what you said, the transportation sector, what is our biggest failure or major failure? As my sister said, there's a whole lot involved when it comes to international flights, and there's a whole lot of bureaucracy in in Nigeria entirely, and you can't say if you're bringing an international flight that you will have a whole lot of people trying to avert that from you achieving that. Even bringing a local flight into Port Harcourt, there's a whole lot involved. And the biggest failure for me is that the government of Rivers State has deliberately, they've not over time built an infrastructure for transportation entirely. They've not at all. All they just do is personalize um, their project. They just personalize their project, and that is one thing. Is a major failure. The roads are dilapidated. They don't work on it. It comes to the airport. The airport is a government of its own, yes, but they still have a face with the federal government. The challenges with levies. If you're flying from Port Harcourt to, there's a whole lot of check-ins that they need to synchronize with the federal government in order to make Port Harcourt a free, it's easier for any passenger to fly in and fly out. So that's for me. Politically, the discontinuity of every administration that comes in, they make it every politician that comes in just find a way to start their own projects, and it's a weak investment. And for any investor to look at the policy that they put in place and just decide to just back off and leave River State to float on its own based on the governors or politicians' frame. Thank you.
All right. So at this point, we can just assume there's a lot that needs to do. We can just take that there's a lot in the government needs to do. They've neglected the whole transportation industry. And well, hopefully, by the time we're done with this project, it will be one of the priorities of the state. So going forward, to Chidinma, as a travel consultant and aviation professional, you sit at the intersection of regional connectivity and passenger experience. How would you assess the current state of air travel in and out of Rivers State, and what must change to make Port Harcourt a genuine aviation hub for the South-South region by 2050? You said a few things, but let me just give you a bit of time to expatiate.
Okay, so first of all, like on the part of like assessing, what do I think? First of all, I think that at least we're not on ground zero. I can't just say that we're just bad entirely. Do you get? We're not like on ground zero. So that's to say, at least the airport is there. We're not saying, oh, we need an airport, probably an international or a local airport. So the airport is there. We are very much recognized. Like people know that, oh, this and that. Not like, for example, people don't even know this, like an airport in Kano. There's an international airport in Kano. Even if they majorly do all this these scripts, yes, when they like their prayers and all of that, but at least it's there and it takes them and all of that. Even some private jets and all of that move from those kind of areas as well. So those are like good things that we can look at. Then secondly, your question, what's the second question again, please?
Okay, so I was saying, and what must change to make Port Harcourt a genuine aviation hub for the South?
Okay, yes. Another thing that must change, one of the things that must change is that we need to promote it. Like, we need to promote it. For example, from July, August now, everybody knows what Dirty December is. And without even thinking twice, we know where Dirty December is happening. And everybody knows how they are getting to that location, and it's Lagos. Gradually, it's getting into Abuja, like the whole Dirty December thing. Some people who can't, like, probably feel Lagos because then things become so expensive. Hotels are fully booked, no space. So your flights, first of all, coming in is so expensive. And so that's money, serious money generation coming into Lagos State. And Abuja is also like, pushing that whole thing. Why? Because there's a lot of things happening at that time. Like a lot of things for people to look forward to. There's the parties, there's just so much. So one thing we can do to actually boost ourselves in that area actually is to look for things that we can do in Port Harcourt that would push people to want to come forward. Like, what is it in Port Harcourt now that is so, like, everybody knows about it nationally, and they're like, oh, this is one Port Harcourt thing that I have to attend. If we kind of have things like that, we kind of force people to come into the state at a particular time, so that there's that influx. Secondly, too, I also see like a bit of regulation of flight tickets, like how much it costs. We know what happens in December. If you want to go to the east in December, if you were supposed to pay 150K to go maybe from probably you're going to a state, let's say you're going to Abia State that does not have an airport, and you're coming from Lagos, you're coming in and then you're paying, the flight ticket is like 400, 350, as to 150, 200. We are not encouraging people to come in. I know somebody will say, but Lagos is also, if you want to also go to Lagos, it's also that expensive. They can try it. They can do it because they know that they have a lot to offer. They have a lot on the table. So if you put it like that, people will still pay. Like, I will still pay that 400K so I can go and watch my favorite superstar perform. What am I paying 400K to come to go to my village and go and do? You're not encouraging me. So it's something we should also like kind of, improve. We can decide to say, oh, ticket. It's not like we are the ones that will do it. This particular thing I'm saying is actually based off of the airlines, how much they buy fuel, and all those kind of things. They can't come and sell at a loss or something. But then again, they can kind of make it a little bit. If somebody sees the price good, they can decide to not say, well, let me spend Christmas in Port Harcourt, or let me spend Christmas here as to traveling like all the way. Another thing too we can do is also like as basic as fixing lights on our airport road. This airport road at night, if you're passing through it, there is no lights. And some of these flights, like that operate at night, maybe the international flights and all of that, you don't want to, the two that we are managing, you don't want to be, if you have any reason to have to be going, maybe let's say 7, 8 p.m., you don't want to be thinking twice about your safety, especially even, let me just use it to talk about safety generally in River State. Like you want to be able to know that you're safe and that you're going to get to your destination without anything happening to you. This is not particular to River State. At least for Abuja, while I was there, I know that there's lights. I know that there's street lights to the airport and that the road is very good. Like, is it's not lonely like the way our airport road is. Our airport road is quite lonely, like bush left and right for a long drive before you kind of get to the airport. It's not really like that in Abuja. At least you can see hotels left and right and all of that and all those kind of things. And lastly, I'll talk about like customer like retention. What can we do to make customers more comfortable? And when they come to the airport, they want to stay. One thing I can point out, inside Abuja Airport's check-in lounge, like where they do check-in, inside there, there's a hotel. That's to say, if I come into Abuja and I'm traveling somewhere, I don't have to stay like so far away and miss my flights. Like from the hotel, you can look through your window and you can literally see when the airline is checking in or what is even happening. You can literally see everything. I think it's not very cheap. It's about $100 per night, but people will pay for it. But how many hotels do we have around Abuja Airport? I'm sorry, Port Harcourt Airport. Talk more of inside the airport. So we need to have those kind of things. We even have some along the road. I'm not mentioning Lagos a lot because I'm not so conversant with Lagos. I just know a little about it. And I know that there's no way Lagos will not even have like hotels around like their airports, that kind of thing, without even thinking about it. But Abuja, we have something like that. Port Harcourt, we can actually do things like that as well. So people can be more like comfortable if they have to travel and stuff. Thank you. Every time I finish talking, I almost say praise the Lord.
All right.
I think I'm church. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I think usually for aviation, it's usually based on how much people are flying out from a certain area. So I think it's something River State has to do, especially with the way we are marketed outside the state. For example, I have a colleague, he's a pilot. He comes to River State, takes flight into River State. He will land and he returns. And one day, talking about attending a wedding in River State, he said, no, there's no way he's going to doing anything in River State. And I let them
Yeah,
kidnap him.
you
I
get.
said,
You know, they can
I
kidnap
said
you in
River
Abuja.
State. I said River State is safe. I don't know what you're talking
Yes.
about. Kidnapping and all of that. People are moving about River State is safe. You said there's some kind of things that you do that people will be asking you why. You said, didn't you know what you were doing? So it's all these kind of things that's causing some of the problems we're having. So I think when you talk about promotion and everything, we truly need to find a way to market the state in a very good light. So as a follow-up, what are some of the barriers to having more young people working in the aviation sector just like you? Does this sector have the potential to employ many young Rivers people?
Okay. Some of the barriers I think is like lack of information, basically. A lot of young people don't really think that they can work in the airports. Like they think it's so far-fetched. Do you understand? Like they're like, our airport is so big. It's not far-fetched like that. If you actually want to work at the airport, one of the easiest way I can say is actually through NYSC. Like if you are a copper, you can actually go, even if they don't pay coppers very well, but if you're just very much interested, from copper, you can get in as a casual staff. Then from there, you can get in as a permanent staff. So that's like there are offices there, like you can actually work in. Another thing too is that people think that when you say airports, the only thing there is pilots and cabin crew. Like, and I don't have money to become a pilot. Man, to become a pilot now in Nigeria, you're talking like probably 20, 25, 30 million naira for it to be like in addition to other costs though. And it's not even, I think it's somewhere in the north, I mean middle belt. So you may even be so far away from family and you have to be applying the road or flight once in a while to go see your people and all of that. So that's not the only offices or units that we have at the airport. There's customer service, there's operations, there's cargo. You can become a flight announcement person. You don't even, funny enough, we were not even trained per se. If you just come and they ask you if you could do it and you speak well, they will just give you one or two trials. If you do it well, you're able to. So there's so many offices. There's even the water units. There's even a unit for health. When there was COVID and all of that, those people there that were in charge of health, and all of that. They even in Port Harcourt Airport, yeah, we have like a clinic. There's a clinic there. And I even got to find out recently that people even give birth there. Not anybody though, but staff. I don't think it's open to outsiders. So even if a doctor, for example, you can work in the clinic. If you're interested in becoming cabin crew, you have to go for the training to do that one. If you want to work in any other unit as well. So you can even become a content creator. That's even another thing at the airport. You come in as a copper, you come in as whatever it is, but you start making content every day, follow us to the airport. People like to watch all these things. Follow me to the airport, something like that. Or you just give information for people to know that, oh, this is what's happening in Port Harcourt Airport at the moment, or this was not happening at the moment,
Yes. All right.
So yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I agree with the information part. A lot of times, if you're not in the industry, you almost don't know what is going on in aviation. And I think the government also, we need to find a way for the government to also pay attention to this area, because if you look at our cousins from the north, if you look at almost all captains, they're like maybe a high percentage, at least 70, 60% of flight crew are from the north. Their governments are training them, they're taking them. So we can imagine now in the next few years, really people in that from that side of the country that will be in that field.
Yeah.
Our own part of the country, we're not really doing anything about any of this. So I think you're correct about information. We need to put more attention to this. So on to you, Mr. Suanu. Thank you, Joe. On to you, Mr. Suanu. So from an engineering perspective, what are the most fundamental structural and design failures in River State's roads and transportation infrastructure? Are these problems of planning, execution, maintenance, or all three?
Thank you, Senator. I would say, first of all, it's all three, because, anyways, but from an engineering perspective, the challenge facing River State is not just attributed to, one single failure, but in my opinion, I would say it's more of a systemic deficiency in both planning and design, construction, and maintenance. while the state has invested substantially, especially in road infrastructure over the years, most of our projects, they've not delivered any form of long-term functionality. So, or in my opinion, the root cause would be the lack of a transportation planning master plan. So Lagos, for instance, I think sometime in 2009 developed what's called the Lagos Strategic Transportation Master Plan. That's the Lagos STMP. And it was amended in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. It was amended to include some other things as well, but that master plan from 2009 has both the Lagos red line, it has the green line that they will do in the future, it has the blue line, obviously has been there, but there are so many other projects that have been planned for the future, and everything is in that master plan. So what governments do, I mean, when I was in Lagos, what we do then was we would go study these master plans and try and come up with projects that are in line with those master plans and try and pitch it to the governor. And that's how the company I was working with at the time in Lagos, we were able to build the Ikeja bus terminal, the Oshodi transport interchange. But so I believe we need to start with that, what's it called? Trying to formalize that master plan. But while I agree is not an immediate solution, so to speak, I believe you can, let's say, start with the first problems, like try and fix the existing potholes or wherever, make the road system in such a way that you can actually again, I think this is answering the second part of this question, but that's by the way. But if you fix the existing network, you can develop a multimodal transportation network in the future. And after that, you can expand urban mass transit and move to like a different system. But let me just go through your question again just to make sure that I have covered it. The problems of planning, execution, maintenance, and all three, yes, they are of all three. I mean, when it comes to construction quality issues, the way we give contracts in Nigeria to build roads, especially, do not allow for any form of QA because you overinflate the cost of the project only to use a huge portion of that to sort people. Then at the end of the day, you're now left with change to do the actual construction. And as a result, we get roads that are being built every 2 years. I mean, outside Nigeria, most people build roads that last 20 years, but it's like a myth in Nigeria. It does not happen. I don't know of any road that they built that would last 20 years, but these are issues with construction, again, corruption. While I don't want to go into this whole government thing a lot, but corruption is at the root of most of our transport challenges and lack of maintenance. That's like, we don't have any sub-maintenance culture. Lagos State, I think they implemented the, what's it called? Is it LASMA? But I'm sure Port Harcourt, if I'm not mistaken, they've come up with some sort of, maintenance outfits. I don't know if I would call LASMA a maintenance outfit, but where I'm going to is imagine having a unit that's in charge of maintaining these roads. Am I imagining it? But what is FEMA for? I just remember what is FEMA for? Those institutions are supposed to, again, that's on a federal level, but are supposed to maintain some of those assets that we currently have. So, in summary, I would start with an integrated transportation master plan for River State. I would try and curtail corruption, construction quality issues that stem from both corruption and inflated contracts. And I will try and better maintain some of the current infrastructure we have. When it comes to design, yes, there's a problem with the way we design some of our roads, drainages especially, but I feel like if we start with the first three, we can get to the others eventually. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So as a follow-up, River State's geography, coastal terrain, riverine communities, and dense core presents unique engineering challenges. What transportation solutions are best suited to these specific environments, and how should they be prioritized in the 25-year development plan?
So I'll start with the first one. So our geography, while I would say it's both it's both a challenge and a greater transportation comparative advantage as well. Because unlike many inland states, River State sits in the Niger Delta and it has extensive waterways. So what we can do is develop our water transportation infrastructure around that. So again, it's a challenge, but we can, find a way to make something out of that. Use those water to, develop our water transport infrastructure. But also, for the 25 years development plan, we'll prioritize. I would want to do this in maybe like 5 phases. So I would say phase 1, which is, let's say, between now and the next 5 years, I would say we need to fix the existing network. Yet we have an extensive road network, but the issue is the roads are always bad. The drainages are never, they've not been built properly, so it's always full and it doesn't serve its purpose. So I would say let's start between now and the next 5 years. Let's try and fix the existing road networks, get them to a place where they're functional. Then the next phase, I would say 5 to 10 years, let's try and develop, the multimodal transportation network. So, and why I'm saying we develop this is, imagine you have BRTs that are on all the major corridors in Port Harcourt. Major corridors, for instance, you have Ada George, you have Ikwiri Road, some other this thing, you have BRTs running on those ones. Then yes, we don't like the current informal transport system, that's Keke and the Danfo. Or imagine Danfo feeding BRTs. So Danfo takes people from wherever their houses or wherever the last mile mobility takes them to those BRTs. BRTs connect those ones and eventually get to a place where BRTs connect to like a real service. So things like that, it's possible, but we need to start from somewhere. So first 5 years, fix the system. 5 to 10 years, develop the multimodal transport network. And then let's say a longer term phase would be to expand the mass transit. That's where you're looking at, maybe looking at rail, dedicated bus lanes and some other things like that. Then after that, we can now start to think of, okay, let's build like a smart transportation system. Let's implement a unified payment processing platform. So it's not like you're moving from a bus to a train to a Danfo and you have to pay, you can have one payment platform across everything. But again, that would not work if we don't have like one operator across all those systems. So those are some of the challenges that I believe in Lagos they had when I worked on the Oshodi bus transport interchange. So we're building 3 terminals. 2 of those terminals were for intracity transports, which is within Lagos State. Then one of them was intercity, so that's traveling out of the states. So I think they implemented all these things. I'm talking about the smart payment methods and all that, but these are longer term things that we can look at in the future. But let's start with fixing our system. That's all for me.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So go to you, Mr. David. Logistics and supply chain efficiency depend heavily on transportation infrastructure. From a business and commerce perspective, how does the current state of transportation in Rivers State affect trade, investment, and economic activity? And what are the most urgent fixes needed?
Okay. I worked in the aviation for a while, so I will mainly talk about the aviation sector. Just throw some light in normal transport system like road transport. In the aviation sector, there's a whole lot of um, bottlenecks with levies, especially when it comes, because if it comes to the aviation sector, people talks about only mainly on the passenger, but forgetting that the cargo section is one of the most profitable aspect of aviation. So, and the the system for an exporter is making it difficult for them to comfortably bring their cargo or bring their goods to the airport in Port Harcourt. And the bottleneck there is so damaging in terms of the fact that I can come, you see bombs, you see police, you see fan, all of them come just for you to sign, for you to ask you for your airway bill, and they will have to sign and all of it. You have to now start giving one or two things and all of it. So, but it's interesting to understand that that our system here in River State, the government have not yet understood the business aspect of aviation, because they only understand the administrative aspect of rolling River State. But the business aspect of transportation needs to be understood in terms of coming together to make a full blueprint. If it is in the aviation sector, what is the thing that Lagos is doing that Port Harcourt cannot do? Understanding the fact that Port Harcourt is the gateway to South-South. And if I'm going from here to Equatorial Guinea, I will spend 45 minutes to Equatorial Guinea compared from Lagos to Equatorial Guinea, which takes about 2 hours. So, and if you understand that for any goods to come into Port Harcourt from the international water, it first of all comes into Port Harcourt first before going to Lagos. It takes 2 weeks to go into Lagos again. So if the government will sit down and carve out a blueprint and see how they can make this system work, even if in a minute way, sitting down with the federal government, find a way, because another problem is that they've already marked River State's red flag. So that's one of the costs for some of the clearing is very high. If you want to clear your goods, it's very high. So majority of the exporters decide to take their goods to Lagos because it's way cheaper for them. And investment, if any investment have to come down to Port Harcourt, they look at all this whole thing. If I have to bring my goods from the sea or from the airport, I have to settle a whole lot of people. It becomes crazy. They tend to let me settle down in a place where they are comfortable. You just imagine, a friend of mine brought in some materials from China, and he paid for the materials, and the China company gave him a clearing agent from China that took the goods from China and bring it to their warehouse in Lagos. And he went to Lagos to pick it up, making it seamless. The government of Lagos, they made it seamlessly for investors to carefully make money from the system and also pay back to the system. But in Port Harcourt, it's not like that. It's difficult for any investor to come into Port Harcourt and do that same. But if the government can find a leverage and see a way they can give an incentive to investors to see how they can make it lucrative for each and every one of exporter and investors to work carefully and make it better, I think it will reduce that effect. And if it comes to investment and businesses, you also understand that the aviation fuel is expensive, and majority of the jet fuels they get now is a way too high for them, and it will also affect goods. If it comes to roads, if you're bringing your goods, the fuel is expensive. It will also leverage on your cost of production or your cost of goods if you're importing it from outside the country. So these are investment. It reduces the individual to come into Rivers State to make any meaningful investments. So that is on in investment. So for businesses here in Rivers State are really suffering. It now comes to Obiakpo. It now comes to, because majority of the businesses are also situated in the urban areas. There's no one situated in outskirts like going to Eleme or going to Obibo. It's just few businesses. But if the government can say, okay, we can give you a plot of land and ask an investor to come in and use that facility, it will help in a way give the businesses a raise. That's on your question regarding affecting trade and something. It all boils down to the government giving traders and also investors putting a policy on ground that will help businesses grow.
Thank you. You said Rivers State has been marked red flag. What did you mean by that?
The red flag, when it comes to importation, if you check currently right now, okay, will I say the last time the federal government, which is the president, went to UK, and the investment he requested for was for the port of Lagos to be improved, and the system had deliberately sidelined Port Harcourt. And for that reason, they make it difficult. They term it like it's a no-go area. So any goods we are bringing into Port Harcourt seems to be 3 times in cost compared to Lagos. So, and it's a study that in 2025, I'll send the company that made that investigation. They made the investigation and discovered that Port Harcourt on its own has already been put in a place where it cannot grow in aviation or in ports bringing goods from the seaport and all of it. So they made a recommendation though, but from all sides, Nigeria as a whole, there is a whole lot of systemic failure in our transportation system, which also politicians leverage on that when they don't have the knowledge and they just have to do what they think is necessary for their own personal will I use the word personal political grandstanding to announce themselves.
Okay, all right. So as a follow-up to the original question, Rivers State has one of the most active waterway networks in Nigeria. Yes, waterway transportation remains significantly underdeveloped as a commercial and commuter option. What would it take to make Rivers State's waterways a visible, safe, and modern alternative to road transport?
Okay. On that, the government of Rivers State need to also consider building modern jetties, navigational lights, emergency rescue team, and also enforce life jackets. That is on for safety. So in order for roads, for what they call it, for waterways. So infrastructure, they have to build modern terminals, do drainages in terms of bringing out, installing a digital navigational system, dredging some waterways where they can improve a particular city, like Opopo or like Andoni. creating if they have to dredge that water, they dredge it so that the inflow of people and goods can come in from that sector. So private sector, they also need, the government alone cannot do it, yes, but also they can leverage on private partnership with investors. So in order to do that too, and put a standard license and also regulate and inspect. So these are the this integration. They also have to build their boat terminals, standard boat terminals. So, and that's putting an online tracking and GPS tracking, electronic payment, so that it's easier for everybody who is coming into that locality. They now know that there is a system that is working in that locality. So, and the benefit for that is to also reduce the traffics in our roads. Because if I'm living in Abonima or living in Thai local government or living in Andoni, I don't see the need coming to Port Harcourt because I know that there's a timing that can take me from my locality down to town and bring me back again because there's a system or there's a boat that is working in that area.
All right, thank you very much. So this next question now goes to every one of you. So we just have about 3 minutes each. So public transportation in Port Harcourt is largely informal. Buses, keke, napebs, boat operators with little regulation or safety oversight. What does a well-regulated, affordable, and reliable public transportation system look like for Rivers State by 2050, and what's the pathway to get in there? We can start with you, Mr. Suanu.
Thank you. So I would say a successful public transportation system for Rivers State by 2050 should not just aim to eliminate the informal transport sector but it should try and transform it into a regulated, safe and financially sustainable network. So for instance, how would I go about this? If I were to design this system myself, it will consist of 5 layers. One, I would say with the BRT, the BRT should be like the urban backbone. We need to put BRTs on most of our major corridors. Again, like I said, either George Ikwere Road, I can't remember the others, but BRT. Then we have feeder services now. So the feeder services would deliver people to the BRTs. So that can be, again, the current unregulated transportation systems, like the buses, keke, and the rest of them. Then we need to also modernize our water transport system. That's the third system if I was to design this. Number 4, again, this would be nice to have, but it's an integrated ticketing and digital mobility. And why I say it's nice to have is because it would be nice to have one fair platform across all these modes. So if you have, I think in Lagos, it's called the Cowrie. So they have a Cowrie card, and you can use that Cowrie card on the formal BRTs and let's say the rail systems. I know you can't use it on your normal Danfo in Lagos because that nobody sent that the driver or conductor no go collect money from Cowrie, nothing concerned that. So, but that's nice to have. But if we can do that to be nice, then one thing that's not really talked about a lot in Rivers State or Nigeria as a whole, is safe and inclusive streets. The way we design our roads, we do not include pedestrians, or there's no provision for sidewalks in most of the major roads. Sidewalks, cycle lanes, things like that. Active transportation is not something that people really think about when designing some of these roads. So for me, those are like the 5 things I would try and prioritize. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Please, Chidinma, that's it.
I would say something I think should be prioritized is actually there's a way to train our drivers and people who are like on the road. I know it seems as if it's impossible, but they have all these like regulatory bodies that make sure that they pay a certain fee after carrying a certain number of people. They can use those same people to gather them together to say, oh, maybe once in 6 months, because it may be difficult to gather them, probably even once a month. Just do some form of training. For example, if you see the way some of these keke drivers drive, like as if they have like an extra life in their house, like they are the most reckless set of people on the road. And I think they need the training the most. So if there's like some form of training, I won't even say virtually because most of those people there use like Nokia Touch. They don't even have access to like big phones and all of that. So that nobody has any excuse. You can even the government can even make it like make it feel like you have something to gain. Item 7 will be there. Just maybe do something like giving gifts to like people who have done well or something like that, just to be like some form to kind of encourage them. Another thing too is on the part of security, making sure that our vehicles look the same way in terms of color. We have tried in River State, at least we know what the general color is, but I know that there are still one or two vehicles that still are not, especially in terms, maybe boats. I don't know, because some of these boat drivers, the cars they use are actually like their private cars, so it will be difficult to make them paint their private cars a certain color. But still for safety, because there've been a lot going on in terms of people being kidnapped these days and different stories, people posting a certain driver and saying let's not use this driver, he's a killer, he's a this and he's a that. Or people getting into all these small buses and it's tinted and you didn't really notice that it's tinted. Then you get in and then something happens to you, you're now coming to explain. So should those buses be tinted, yes or no? If it's no, everybody remove the tint on your bus because it's a public vehicle. So we see what's happening inside. If somebody's shouting, we know where exactly to start from. So training, making our vehicles look the same, like in terms of color. So if you're not having this particular color, or if you don't have this particular sticker that should be bold enough for us to know that you are you have been certified by like the regulatory body to say that oh you can be on the road and then you're not endangering anybody, you are not capable of harming anybody and all of that, then at least we can kind of curtail it on the aspect of like kidnapping and stuff. And if there's no way to kind of regulate price, this one is not even just pricing in terms of just to favor us, the users, to favor the drivers as well, because we know that fuel is expensive. Car maintenance is also another thing. So if there's a way to kind of speak with the drivers, how much you want to have as a flat rate, for example, from Choba to oil mill, they say it's 2,000 naira. So you know that, oh, that's the price. So you don't enter and people are fighting driver for change and all those kind of things. So just some form of regulation on that level. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear you, Mr. David. Still with us.
Yeah, you're mute.
Okay, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. I would say strong transport policy, infrastructure investment, private sector partnership, and enforcement of standard. So have a data-driven plan. So these are, for me, one of the things that the government needs to look a pathway in order to make it safe for everyone. And modern bus, they have to be a deliberate attempt by the government to put a kind of bus that should be on the road. So, and also if it comes to our water, build a better jetty, a ferry connection, and unified payment system. So that's what I think should be.
Oh, okay. All right. Before you go, let me ask you one more question. So what roles should the government, so you've said a few things, but let me give you a bit of time to expatiate on this. But what roles should the government, the private sector, and the local communities each play in building a safe, efficient, and modern transport system for River State? where has the current division of responsibility broken down most badly?
Okay. Okay. So is policy, I'll say government should emphasize more on policy, putting a better policy, a regulation, infrastructure, security, and a long-term planning. So when it comes to the private sector, invest in buses like BRT, just as what Lagos did, and also what Aba is also doing. Build a logistic center, introduce innovations. They have to consider making an ecosystem. What I mean ecosystem, the transportation ecosystem where they have the bus, the cargo, and also aviation. All of them work seamlessly. So if I'm moving from Port Harcourt to One, my goods is moving from Port Harcourt to One, there will be no hindrances of any kind. So there have to be a deliberate policy in place in order for those things to work well.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Suanu, let's say you're still on the same question. What role should government be on the government private sector? All right.
Sorry, in addition to what David said, I would want to highlight on that policy as well. And I want to give an example. So, for instance, I think sometime in 2017, I was working on a particular spa project. So they wanted to build a spa somewhere in Lagos. So, and for some reason, spa, they were told by the Lagos State government that they needed to do traffic impact assessment reports. So they came to the consulting firm I was working with, and we did the reports for them. But after that, we were like, why is this not a policy that for every large scale traffic generator, any major construction, you need to provide a traffic impact assessment report? This report basically says, okay, this development is going to be generating a certain number of traffic, and that traffic, when added to the existing network, is not going to cause things to scatter everywhere. Do you understand? So, but if this policy is baked in to, if the government initiates this policy, then now everyone that needs to do any sort of construction would know that in order to get the go-ahead from the government, they need to provide these documents. And again, the government reviews these documents and provides questions if they feel like they are not okay with what's been written. But something like that would really help construction and some of the issues that I feel like we have most of the time in Port Harcourt. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chidinma.
Okay, so the parts where I wanted to add to was the other question where it says, where has the current division of responsibility broken down most badly? That was like the big part of this question. I think it's in the area of regulating the people they have kept in charge of like the transportation and all of that. There's a lot of like overlapping regulatory bodies. So we have this body that is supposed to do this one. We have this one doing this one, doing this one. If you check all of them, 50% of their rules are the same thing. So it's just, we are always bringing out new this thing every day, looking for, wait, so that they can wait at the junction and hold you tight where you don't have your driver's license. You'll be asking them, sir, what's your work exactly? Are you in charge of driver's license? I mean, are you in charge of making sure that my car is roadworthy? Which one? Everybody's doing the same thing. So one major thing we need to do is actually to reduce the overlapping. Don't bring new regulatory bodies. The one we already have, give them distinctive rules. Like, I don't remember the name of these people exactly that wear white and black at Waterlines Junction. Like,
VIO, Vehicle Inspection Officer, VIO.
yes, thank you, VIO. They would wait there. They will stop you. Buses will be passing, bus that is tilting to one side. Vehicle inspection will not stop them. You guys mind your business inside your car. They will stop you and tell you that your tire is expired. You now go and check their own tire, and you won't believe your eyes. So like that's like having too many people doing just the other person's work. You and road safety are dragging responsibility and all of that. And then you see people on the roads disrespecting officials because on a normal day, we shouldn't be disrespecting those people because if they are doing their job, there's no point, disrespecting them and all of that. So reduce the overlapping of regulatory bodies and like the roles that they have to do.
All right, thank you very much. So I think we are the final question of the day, the one we ask everyone. That's a part of our focus group discussions. This is about where they see River State in the next 25 years. This question, we've been asking every guest that engaged with us for the past 15 months. What's the River State of your dreams? So what do you envision for River State over the next 25 years?
Sorry. Okay. To me, I see it as a place where there'll be so much more tourist attraction. Like so much more. There's so much we can do. Like when it comes to tourism, so much we can do. Enough of the hotels and clubs. We need like new things to attract people, new things for people to say, oh, I need to come like to River State to kind of enjoy. As we are all seated here, if they ask all of us, we have one place in Nigeria, at least, pata, if you cannot even afford to go outside Nigeria, you have a place, a state you want to visit because of something that they have there. And sometimes these things are not even like so expensive, like in terms of participating in them, or even if it's like a facility or something, not just a regular hotel. It's not as expensive and as one would think. So having like more you know, things that makes like River State a place for people to come into to say, oh, let's enjoy. At least recently we are beginning to have things, even if it's not big enough, but that we're trying. Things like Bole Festival, rave, all those things. They're kind of interesting to us, but we should still because it can definitely get to a point where Bole Festival will be a thing that people in Lagos want to attend, like because it's a very big event, or there are other things. So that's because I'm majorly into like all these vacations and traveling. So once in a while, people want to spend their money to relax and just know that they are being well taken care of and they're having a lot of fun. So in the next 25 years, I look forward to a river state that has a lot of tourist attraction that can bring people inside and also expansion of our international routes. We can't just be having two routes majorly and then we call it four, but two are the major ones that maybe that two is running like it's not even every day. If they run today, they don't run tomorrow, a whole international airport and all of that. So yeah, thank you.
All right, let's hear from you, Mr. David.
Okay, for me, I would say what I want to see, my Rivers dream for the next 25 years. I would say River State to become a West African leading logistic hub because we have the potential. And we check the waterways, you check the airports, and the efficient road connection between local governments and modern ferries to riverine communities, a smart port operation, ports, airport linking with rail and roads, public transport system that is efficient enough that if I'm living in Andoni, I know definitely that I can get to Port Harcourt in a very short time. Thousands of logistic transportation jobs for youth, attractive environment for local and international investors. So to make it safe for them and also put the policy right, sustain an environmental friendly transport whereby I know that if my goods is going from One, I know, and it's going straight to the airport, there's a particular terminal. I know that if it goes through, there's no bottleneck of any kind. Police will not stop it of any way because there's a system that is working. And the states where moving people and goods is easy and affordable and safe. That is my Rivers 2025.
Thank you very much. Okay, so finally, Mr. Suanu.
Thank you. I think Chidinma and David, they said everything, but one thing I would just want to add to that is I would like to see the next 25 years I want to see a state that has an enabling environment to do business. I want a state that is safe because what you hear these days about things happening, it's not very encouraging. But I would ideally want to see a state that has that it's inviting for the private sector to come in and do business. Because when I hear of companies leaving Nigeria, companies leaving Port Harcourt, I'm like, it's because of the business. Doing business in Nigeria is not easy. Like
Yeah.
chasing contracts in Nigeria, at least that one I know. Chasing contracts in it's not the easiest thing. It's one of the things that frustrated me into leaving the country because in when was that? 2017, someone who just became governor. So they have this transitioning committee. Myself and some of my friends, we started a company, came up with a proposal and modeled Victoria Island and converted most of the roads to one way and did the modeling, found our way, meeting people, met with the transitioning committee, and the then deputy governor was part of them. He saw us, wonderful. Why has nobody thought about this? Blah, 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 we'll do it. Till today, nothing is happening. Like chasing contracts in Nigeria is not the easiest thing. Like you frustrate those that would like to be part of the solution to live in. And for me personally, it's something that I want to be part of the River State's 2050 vision. I want to be part of those that would, try and find a solution to at least my own is transportation problems. But we need an enabling environment to do that and also security. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to every one of you, Chidinma, Suanu, David. Thank you very much for your time and the insightful points you've given us. So I'll hand you back to Ebenezer right now to say the last words, the wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Asenite. Thanks a lot to our guests, Mr. Ezennia, Suanu, Chidinma. We're so grateful. All of the insights that you've shared will make it into the Reverse 2050 Vision book, and you'll be the first to know once the book is ready. We're going to have a first draft of the Vision book by the end of August. Sometime in early September, we'll have a session where people will share feedback and insights and corrections and stuff so that by October, we'll be able to start engaging the political parties and the candidates from the various parties as well, just as Swanu did when he was speaking to the Transitional Committee to ensure that we can get their buy-in and they can begin to even draw their manifestos as well from what the Rivers citizens are saying. And in November, we'll be having the big launch, hopefully bringing together all the state leaders, past current governors, private sector leaders as well together, and hopefully get the buy-in such that these ideas that you've shared would not just be ideas on Zoom, but to become things that we can bring to reality. And hopefully we can bring back our diaspora, people like Suanu and Co who have the experience and knowledge and experiential knowledge to be able to come back to feedback these innovative ideas into the state and make it a reality. So that's our dream and that's our vision, and we hope that it can definitely come to pass. Just a few announcements and then we can close. So tomorrow we're having a session where so the Rivers 2050 Vision Task Force, the team has been working for the past month reviewing national visions from around the world. And so tomorrow we have a session at 4 p.m. for those who would like to join, whether you're watching the recording or here. We invite you to join us. We'll be having a discussion about the visions from the various countries that we've been reviewing across the Middle East, North Africa, Europe, Asia. Please join us. It's going to be a very good conversation because we're looking at what we can learn from all of these countries to add to what we've been designing so far for the Rivers 2050 vision. And then on Friday next week, we're going to be speaking to Sophie Howe, who actually is the first Future Generations Commissioner in the world. She led the process for Wales to have a Future Generations Act. And for us, that's the next step. To be able to ensure that to back up the Rivers 2050 vision, there needs to be a legislative act in the House of Assembly. that mandates the states to save a certain amount of money for the future, ensure that all our actions in the various ministries have a futures lens. So we'll be speaking to her to learn about what she's been able to do in Wales, and now she's advising governments all around the world, and also led to the UN's declaration on future generations as well. So next Friday, please join us as well. We'll add all of this to your respective calendars. Thanks for your time, everyone. This was such a wonderful conversation. The recording will be available on YouTube as always. Have a great rest of your evening. And thanks again, Chidinma, David, and Suanu, for all your wonderful insights.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.